since 2018, when the settlement was first properly announced, and since the establishment of trust, the time lag has been a very major source of frustration for our prospective claimants, and that's something that we really do understand. We know that many of the miners who will be claiming from the trust are very old, and many are extremely ill. Some people have passed away, and the wait has been an ordeal for both them and their families. We're painfully aware of this, and we're trying to, as you will see through the inputs of Daniel and others from the trust, Tina Monaco in particular, that we are striving to ensure that we can do this work in as widespread a way as possible, and reach as many people as possible, particularly in this particular year and the few years to follow. We know that although we have a 12-year range, we're needing to ensure that we reach people earlier and not spread this work over 12 years if we can help it at all. So it's been a very challenging exercise for the trustees. Later reinforced, we are reinforced by a very capable management team to set up the infrastructure demanded to give voice or to translate the settlement deed into practice. Strictly, we have followed the court-approved trust deed as agreed by the parties. That is, in fact, what we are required to do in terms of our own appointments to the trust as trustees. Now, as you are aware, that this involves a 5 billion rand settlement that will ultimately pay out benefits to an expected tens of thousands of people. Now, I want to just stop here for a second, or perhaps more than a second, just to reflect. If one understands the gold mining sector in South Africa, about 1.3 million people in total have ever worked in this sector. Of that, about half, about 630,000 people, have worked on the mines that are party to this trust in the periods that this trust covers. And then of those, there will be a number who have not contracted the conditions and that are set out in this trust deed. So for me, it's particularly humbling to know that there are many people who are going to find that they will not necessarily benefit from the trust deed. But you can be assured that we're going to do our level best to ensure that everyone who is eligible will be paid out by the trust. So on our website, you'll find 12 months, feels like 12 years, of announcements and detailed progress reports. And that refers to all the systems that we've had to put into place that would make it possible to begin processing claims. Amongst these are the appointment in October last year of Daniel Cotton, our CEO, and thereafter the executive and senior management team that reports into him in the trust offices. And you will meet Daniel, a key member of his teams, 2 key members of his team shortly. Now, if we turn to progress thus far, since its establishment, the trust has continued and built. We've deliberately built on the work of the parties to the settlement, and they've done extensive work in terms of remaining in contact with respective claimants through radio, social media, mobile, phone-based messaging, and so on. A database was established in that process too of more than 100,000 people who were encouraged to register an interest in claiming from the trust, and they've supplied more up-to-date mobile numbers to facilitate further communication. So we built on the database, we built on the communication system. We have also built on the platform that was developed to look at the processing of claims. Ultimately, behind the trust sits a technology-based platform which will allow us to ensure that we can not only deal with paperwork more efficiently, but we can also address issues of fraud and so on. So where does all of this data come from? Some of it comes from TEBA, which, as you know, has been for many years involved with the recruitment of minors. And that means that they maintain probably the largest database of the identity of people who have worked on these mines. We also have information from the MBOD, who obviously has occupational health data and also data on individuals who have been previously paid through the ODIMWA system. To date, we are in daily contact with the dozens of people who are seeking information or just expressing sheer unhappiness and frustration, understandably, at what they see and feel as the slow pace of progress.
With regards to the claims process, so today we are very gratified to be able to report to you on progress that has been made on the launch of the claims process through what we hope is a very solid infrastructure. While a number of claims have been processed in a carefully developed series of pilot projects, we now look forward in the near future to the first general payments of benefits. Each claim will have to follow 8 specific steps. Step number 1, claimants are asked first to check the details on the database to ensure they carried out risk work at a qualifying mine during a qualifying period. Step 2, they need to make a call to our call center to make an appointment to visit personally a lodgement office. Step 3, to lodge their documents such as ID documents, work record, and any available medical reports, and be identified with biometric equipment. This is absolutely critical to manage the fraud that we are facing. The next step is to undergo an appointment for a medical benefit examination if required. That is, if medical report information does exist or is inadequate or inconclusive. The next step is the medical reports are reviewed by the Tshiamiso Medical Certification Panel, as well as our Trust Certification Panel. Work records are reviewed by the agent, a representative of the 6 companies. And the final step is, if approved by all bodies, banking details are verified and payments made. Claimants may also lodge an appeal against negative panel decisions by the Medical or Certification Reviewing Authority. An update from an infrastructure perspective. To carry out these processes required by the trust deed and the court order, the trust has had to set up major infrastructure. We now have 50 lodgement centres around South Africa's mining areas and rural areas, and areas in Lesotho, Mozambique, Eswatini, and Botswana, from which mine labour has historically been drawn. Most of these are located at TEBA offices, with which the trust has negotiated a partnership agreement. Other lodgement centres will be opened in due course. Tshiamiso has seen to the training of staff at each lodgement centre. We have put in place the IT infrastructure to enable these widely dispersed offices to be linked to our central database. We have supplied various equipment from biometric identification devices to branding materials. All this in the midst of strict COVID-related border controls that complicated the transport of the equipment to the 18 lodgement offices outside of South Africa's borders.